Today we're going to make linguine and clams, otherwise known as linguine alle vongole. It's a delicious recipe, and it's one that anywhere you are in America you can make it. You don't need the fresh clams, because in this iteration we're going to use canned clams, but we're going to use excellent canned clams. So this is the dish. Come on, let's go in the kitchen. I'm going to show you how to make it. All right, my Italian food fanatics. We're going to make linguine alle vongole, the Italian style. This is the real deal, how to make it the way the Italians would make it. And we need for that olive oil. We're going to use 100% California olive oil, as you know that I do. We're going to use some parsley. We're actually going to use the stems and also the leaves. We're going to use a hot chili. We'll use some garlic. We're going to use some tomatoes. And we're going to use canned clams. Now I suggest that you use Crown Prince. They're natural, they're packed in water, they're wild caught, and they're non-GMO. So this is a very high quality. You're going to pay about $1 more for it, but in my opinion, they're worth it. All right? And you want to, and I'm not getting paid to do this. All right? This is not an endorsement that I'm being paid for. I'm just doing this because I like the product. You need to wash the can very, very well. You don't know where the can's been. You don't know where your can's been, do you? And so consequently, when you open this up, you don't want dirt to go into the clams and the clam juice that you're going to be ingesting. All right? And so we'll come back in just a second when we get all of our accoutrements ready. So first, let's talk about the parsley. We're going to use the stems as well as the leaves, and I'm going to turn this off in just a second, or we're going to go to the next segment. I'm not going to bore you with doing this, but there is a lot of flavor in the stems, and we're going to use those stems to impart flavor in a way that you'll see in a moment, in the way the Italians actually use the stems. In fact, in some instances, they don't even use the leaves. In some dishes, they just use the stems. But there's a lot of flavor in them, and we're going to use that. So let me de-stem or get rid of the leaves. Of course, we're going to use the leaves too. But let me get the stems, and we will come right back. All right, now we have the stems and some of the leaves. What I like to do with the ends of the stems, the ones that have been in the ground, essentially, is just cut them off so that we have clean stems, and that's it. So let me cut this one in half, and that's what we're going to use. All right. Now, with regard to the leaves, we're going to give them a chop, but we're not going to give them that fine of a chop. I want to mix them up. Chop them up pretty good, but not like you would do for French fine dining, all right? So a rough chop, just like this. Clean off the knife a little bit. That should be absolutely sufficient. All right, if you wanted to do something very, very soigné and fine, then you'd go over it a few more times. But you got to make sure that the leaves are dry. Otherwise, what you'll end up with is essentially a mess. And you also need to have a pretty sharp knife, because you don't want to mash the leaves. You want to cut through them. All right? We'll be back. Okay, now we're going to prepare our chili. And all we really need to do is cut the end off just like this, and we're going to cut it in half. Now be careful when you do this, because the chilies are curved. You could end up hurting yourself. But that's it. We're not going to remove the insides or the seeds, because that's where the capsaicin is. That's where the heat is going to come from. We're also now going to turn our attention to our tomatoes, which we're only going to cut in half. Now, I'm not a proponent for this type of a dish to take this stem or branch end off. I'm just going to leave it the way they are. I think it's fine. All right. And then we're going to turn our attention to our garlic. And we are not going to chop this garlic up. We're going to make the camera jump up and down by just crushing the garlic that way and then removing the skin. Okay? And we're going to leave them whole like this. Believe it or not, they're going to come out of the final dish. Whatever kind of, see, there's a blemish there. We're going to take that out. We don't want blemishes or anything like that. We want to use them in a nice way. See, another blemish here, and we're going to cut off this green end. But that's about it. So these three are all that we need. And now we can essentially go to the stove after we clean up a little bit of this. There we go. All right, let's get started here. We're going to take some 100% California olive oil, the best oil in America, if not the world. And we're going to add it to our pan. Be a little bit generous because olive oil is delicious. Just like that. It's going to make the dish. We're then going to add a little bit of water in here. A little bit of water on this side. A little bit of water on the other side. Just like that. We'll turn on the flame. We're going to put our parsley stems here. We're going to take our chilies and put them in the water part of it. And we're also going to take our garlic and put it in the water area too. What's going to end up happening is, as it comes to temperature, the water is going to evaporate, and the garlic, the peppers, and the parsley are going to lend their flavor to the oil that's left. And then we're going to remove them before the end of the dish is complete. You'll see. We'll come back in just a moment. As you can see, what I said was going to come to pass is the water slowly evaporating, and these elements, the garlic and the peppers and the parsley, are lending their flavor to the dish. We'll come back when it's further along. Now you can see that our water is almost completely gone, and we're going to add a little bit of white wine. And we're going to bring that up to temperature and let it reduce a little bit until the alcohol flavor has been cooked out. We'll be back. All right, as you can see, it's been cooking along just perfectly. And now that the alcohol has evaporated out, we can't smell it really anymore. We're going to add in our tomatoes. Now, I'm going to add them in the cut side up because I want to slowly cook them. Just like this. And we're going to add a little bit of salt on top of the tomatoes. I'm going to let them cook down. I'm going to turn the heat down now, and we're going to let them slowly cook. In the meantime, we're going to get our water up to a boil. Okay, now with a little bit of water, 4 cups to be exact, I place them in the sauce pot, and when that comes to a boil, we will add our salt. Now, these are professional sauce pots, so they don't come with covers. I've commandeered a cover from one of my other home pots, if you want to call it that, in order for the water to come to a boil a little bit faster. We'll be back when it's at a boil. All right, now that our water is to a boil, what we'll do is we're going to add exactly 2 teaspoons of regular table salt into the water. You don't have to use kosher salt. You don't have to use rock salt. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Regular table salt is perfect. It's the least expensive. Salt is salt. You don't have to use expensive salt to flavor water. all right? It's all the same thing, it's just in different shapes and colors. Those salts you use to finish dishes. You don't use them in pasta water, okay? Now, the other thing too is that you want to add your salt after the water has come to a boil, because if you don't, if you add it while the water is cold, it will end up over the long haul destroying the inside of your pot or your pan. So you don't want to, it's going to pit it, believe it or not. And so you don't want that to happen. We'll now go ahead and add our pasta into the water. Now it's important to note that we're going to remove this pasta about 3 minutes before it's supposed to be done, and we're not going to push it in. What we're going to do is we're going to let it, see how it's getting soft. We'll let it get soft, and then we're going to stir it in little by little. Now there's a reason why I'm using a very small amount of water. It's because I want the starches from the pasta to leach into the water in the event that I need to use that water to finish the dish. It's going to have that starch that's in there, and it's going to make the final sauce nice and creamy. In addition to all of this, you do not need to constantly stir the pasta. As long as the starches gel, the pasta will not stick together. The other thing too is a lot of people put oil in the pasta water. This has got to be the most retarded thing that humanity has ever come up with as far as the kitchen is concerned and Italian food, okay? Do not add any oil to the water. Pay attention. I don't care what your mother told you. It's going to help the pasta stick together. No, it's not going to do that. It's only when the starches in the pasta gel. So we stir it a little bit, and that's going to be enough. It does not have to be in copious amounts of water. It does not have to be at a rolling boil. It doesn't have to be any of these things. All right? So we'll let it cook, and we're going to turn our attention to the sauce. All right, here we are now back to our sauce. It's slowly simmering away. And now we're going to add the clams and the juice that they came in. Just like this. And we'll bring that to temperature and be right back. Okay, now that our sauce is at temperature, what we're going to do is we're going to remove the parsley stems, the peppers, and also the garlic. They have done their job phenomenally well. So now I have another pan on the flame, and we're going to take this liquid and strain it just like that. And we'll put this back in like this and hold it as a reserve. Now the pasta's done, and we're going to transfer the pasta into this liquid to complete the cooking. Okay, see all of that water, that wine, and the juice from the clams is going to be sucked up by the pasta. And if we need to add any more, we have a ladle here with some water that we can add in just like this. Now it's not necessary right now, as you can see, but if it were drier for you, just know that that's why that pasta water is there. It's reserved so that you can add it into here in the event that you need to. Now you can tell, at least I can tell, that this pasta isn't ready just yet. It's almost ready. fact, I spotted another stem while I was talking. And you just keep this stuff moving. Now what also happens is the starches from the pasta continue to leach out and thicken this liquid. And as the liquid thickens, it sticks to the pasta, and that's what gives us flavor. All right, this is the authentic Italian way of doing this. I've mixed a little bit of north and a little bit of south here. There's a little bit of Naples and a little bit of Venice in here as well. So now there's only one way to taste. There's only one way to test to see if it's ready, and that's by tasting. Okay, that pasta is literally perfectly cooked. Look how viscous and nice this is. Now we're going to add in our parsley. Oh, that looks good. And then we're also going to turn the flame off. We're going to add in our clams. And then, while they were in that pan, they were juices that leached out too. And we're going to add all of those juices back, just like this. Now that is stupendous. Now let's plate this up. There it is. How sweet it is. So here we are, Linguine Alle Vongole, Linguine and Clams. Let's give it a taste and see how it's going to be. Oh, by the way, if you like the channel, please hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel so you'll know when I release a new video on something absolutely delicious. Ring the bell too, and that little bell icon, that helps me out a lot. I'm trying to get a few subscribers. I don't know how many we're going to get here, but I'm trying, okay? So, here we go. Linguine Alle Vongole. Oh, God. That's so darn good. I wish you were here. We could share this. This is enough for 2 people, believe it or not. But I eat for 2. I eat for 4 sometimes. The sauce was so viscous and thick that it stuck to the pasta. The pasta is perfectly cooked. There's just the right amount of seasoning. Use what I showed you and then adjust from there if you think it's not enough salt for you. But I think it's going to be plenty, all right? You can taste the heat or feel the heat from the pepper. It's there. There's the herbaceousness of the parsley. It's just perfectly done. And of course the tomatoes. And the white wine. It's a complex, very sophisticated dish made from the fruit of the sea. A Neapolitan specialty, and also, you know, they make it all over anywhere that there's clams on the coasts of all the coastline of Italy, and of course, when the Italians came to America, they brought this dish with them. Now, the dish that we have in America doesn't resemble anything that you're going to find in Italy. This is a light and fresh, more like a summer thing that you would eat when you're sitting on the veranda with a friend with a glass of white wine. little breeze blowing through. You hear the seagulls in the background, the smell of the ocean air. Then you eat this pasta and enjoy life. Life is meant to be enjoyed. I love my job. I do what I love to do every single day. Now, and I hope that that comes through, and I hope you get into the kitchen, no matter where you are, be in Kansas, Wyoming, in the middle of winter, you can create this dish and imagine what summer's going to be like when it hits, and just sit with a friend or a loved one or your family and enjoy. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. All right? Nobody makes everything exactly perfectly. This I tried to make so that anybody in America, anybody in the world for that matter, if they have access to canned clams and a little bit of linguine or pasta, spaghetti, will be able to make and eat and enjoy this. Now, also remember one thing. You don't want to use a short pasta for this. You want to use either spaghetti or linguine. Those are the two best to use. You don't want to use penne or tubetti or rigatoni or any of this stuff. It just doesn't go with this particular dish. You can try if you want, but you'll understand what I mean when I say it just doesn't go. I think you're tired of me watching me eat this, aren't you? Well, I'm not tired of eating it, but you should get your butt in the kitchen and make it for yourself. Come on, go. You'll make it better than what they make in the restaurants. You bring your family and your friends high quality, well-cooked Italian food and do it better and better each time and be proud of it. Why go to a restaurant and eat mushy spaghetti cooked by somebody who doesn't understand what they're doing? Follow the instructions that you see on the video and you'll be a past master in no time at all. Thanks for your time. Remember to like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button. I love you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.